morning, everybody. I would normally say good evening, but that's far from the truth. And welcome to the stream. If you're watching, cool. If not, it's all good. You guys can catch up tomorrow. Um, the purpose of this stream is so you guys can get a better look and a better image of the kind of person that I am outside of YouTube. Kind of like a bit more of a behind the scenes deal, but a bit of a more personal one than you would get outside of the shenanigans that you normally see. My real name is Josh. I'm a native of Chicago. I was born in a small suburb known as Oak Park. I have three brothers, two older ones, one younger one. I'm in the middle, so there's four of us. Me and my youngest brother share the same mom. Um, my youngest brother Marcus, my oldest two older brothers Gabriel and Carmelo Jr. Have two different moms. One was from my dad's previous marriage. How's it going, Ty? Um, I have two cats. I do live with my mom currently. Um, I'm from a small suburb town in Chicago called Northlake, Illinois. So I am an Illinoisan, Chicagoan. Um, I'm a Cubs fan, uh, hardcore Cubs fan. I would say I'm a Bulls fan, but they're not any good, so I kind of been leaning on the caution of the Lakers. Um, Big Blackhawks fan. I'm big on hockey. I'm not, um, I'm Irish, Italian, German, Polish, and Puerto Rican. If that makes it any easier, my authenticity. My dad was full-on Puerto Rican. My mom was the mix. We lived in North Lake for the past 25 years. I'm 26 years old. I've lived in the same neighborhood since the time I was 3, so I've been pretty much living in this area for the longest time. Um, I've contemplated leaving this town so many times, but I can't bring myself to ever do it. There's a lot of memories here, childhood, and for me personally. I went to preschool at the age of 5, graduated, and moved on to, obviously, kindergarten at the age of 6. The cool thing about my school years, um, they kind of stacked on what year it was. So 1999 is when I was in kindergarten. First grade, oh, I'm sorry, it was 1999 when I graduated preschool, 2000 when I was in kindergarten. When I was in first grade, it was 2001, second grade 2002, third grade 2003, and so on and so forth. And I graduated in 2012 as a senior of high school. I went to Riley Elementary School. It's a small school right up the road from my house, literally 5 to a 10-minute walk. I went to West Leyden High School for the first 2 years of high school. Backtrack. Then I went to North Lake Middle School after grade school, which is the coolest thing about that middle school. It was literally across the parking lot from the grade school I went to. Um, I went to West Leyden High School for my first 2 years of high school. My mom had a lot of problems as me and my youngest brother got older, and they had to separate for a bit. So I did my last 2 years in a small town called Oswego in Illinois. So we stayed with my grandparents for a while, and we literally during that time frame that I was in, living with my grandparents in high school is actually when I had my first real relationship in life. Um, it was kind of ironic because it was like one of those fairy tale kind of relationships. So it's like one of those things where you're really into that person and you're with them 24/7. You want to talk to them 24/7 and be around them. It's what they call now in life what they call the honeymoon phase kind of thing. That went on for about a year, and I developed a condition over time in my head. I did a lot of contact sports when I was younger, so it was a lot more difficult for me to have some self-control in some areas. So, my moods were switching a lot, and it scared her. So she wound up doing what was best, which was breaking up. Then after I had graduated, I met somebody else, and for about a year with her, I just put up with so much physical and emotional abuse as I could handle. Um, and after that, she had almost killed me at one point. So I backed out of that real quick, snapped out of that, and at that moment, a couple weeks later, earlier in that summertime, the year before, I had met this girl at a carnival. We kind of like were running off of a carnival ride at the same time, and we kind of bonked heads. So we clicked, we hung out the whole day, and we had like this connection that we both have never felt with another person before. So fast forward, after I've left this psycho bitch, um, I wound up with that said person. And 2, 3 months into that relationship, we were engaged. And my condition that I developed with that person in high school advanced to where it became more of an anger problem than anything else, and I wasn't realizing it was there. And over time, it would just directly affect our relationship to a point where she's almost broken up with me twice. She actually went to try out for the army just to get away from me for a while, to see if that would change things and get me to realize what I could be losing, kind of thing. She comes back because she got sick over there, really sick. She had heat stroke, double heat stroke, and double tonsillitis. So, um, fast forward a year, the beginning of 2017, in springtime, we had a party to celebrate. I forgot what it was. I forgot what kind of party it was. Later throughout the year, my birthday came around. We all had fun. We got drunk, messed up, whatever. And shortly after that is when she started to act a little bit differently. She was getting sick regularly, and it didn't make sense. So by the time I think it was October, her stomach started to kind of like swell up, like something was seriously wrong. She was always throwing up all the time. She was eating a lot, but she wasn't keeping food down. So I ran her to the emergency room, and that's when we basically found out she was pregnant. So that's how my son came about. I have a 3-year-old who has gotten me through pretty much every obstacle in my life, um, and just make help and it gets me through each and every day to a point. And I say that because a lot of people, what they don't understand is like with depression, people don't understand. You can't call someone a coward for killing themselves or even attempting it, because some people don't understand the weight that it carries, the weight that they carry with depression. It carries. It's a lot of weight, and I don't think people know the balance it takes to carry that. So, fast forward a couple of years, my condition worsens, and then COVID came about, and she left me after my 26th birthday of last year for somebody, I guess, older and more mature, I guess. And ever since then, it's been like a downslide. The downslide started in about mid-June-ish. I should backtrack a little bit. Fast forward to 2018, our first year with our son. We're raising him up, and that was also a big year, a bad year. The end of 2017, early 2018 is when my world kind of turned upside down. Um, my dad was diagnosed with cirrhosis of the liver in 2016. Um, it was moderate, so at that point it wasn't that bad. Um, I will be flipping through frames to check chat, so if people are in there, I will check it momentarily. If you guys do have any questions to ask, whether it's a personal question or just a question about anything that I say, feel free to ask. That's what this stream is for. I want you guys to know about me. This is what this is about. outside of YouTube. So, so my dad was diagnosed with that disease. He was an alcoholic for a lot of years, had a lot of issues with drugs as well, and it was a big reason why my mom separated from him. Um, we moved back in 2015, and my dad was diagnosed in 2016, so he was doing all the therapies, all the diets, taking his medication. Everything was on the right track for him. The thing was he would slip here and there to where, he'd have a beer here, a beer there, and it's just like, I'd track it. He brought home alcohol, it went down the drain. Um, Fast forward to when my son was born, my dad started to become delirious. For some of you, don't know what that means. It means that ammonia levels, which is a chemical inside the brain, was um, it was multiplying in his head to where my dad would become delirious. So what that means is he would not know where he was at. I remember one day in particular, I get a call from my brother at about 9 o'clock in the morning. My brother Gabriel calls me. He's like, you know what happened to Dad this morning? I'm like, no, what happened? Is he okay? He's like, no, one of the drivers saw him walking down the sidewalk and almost walked in front of a train. He had no idea where he was at. He left the car in neutral in the parking lot with the door wide open. The ammonia levels were so high, my dad would become so delirious. It was like he was concussed. He had no idea where he was at. He had no idea who my brother was, and it was about 3 or 4, maybe 5 times we've had to call an ambulance because he became delirious from this chemical that was imbalanced in his head. So, um, I wound up leaving. I wound up taking what they call FMLA for my job at UPS. It was a job I was at for 7 years. My body took a lot of abuse at that job. I was a forklift operator there for 6 years. It's where I got my start as a forklift operator. Um, I was part-time, but I was working full-time hours because I'm a team player. That's what I do. I love working. I don't like sitting on my ass doing nothing. And it put a lot of wear and tear on my knees. It put a lot of wear and tear on my back, my shoulders, and it put a lot of abuse on my body in general to where my fiance at the time, before she had left, was she was very concerned with how my body was just breaking down, how I was in pain all the time. And it was one of those things where, you know, that's when my condition in my head was getting worse because at that point I was becoming very kind of pushing her off as if I didn't want her help. I didn't want to be cared about. My depression mixed with this issue just became worse. So the ammonia levels in my dad's head got so bad to where the last time he was hospitalized, they said, you got to stop working. You can't work anymore. It's going to keep happening. It's going to happen to you at work, and God forbid, you dispatch somebody who has like blood gas or something, and it goes to the wrong hospital. That person dies. It becomes a liability issue. My dad was pretty much forced into retirement after 35 years on the job. Um, when he was forced into retirement, that was supposed to be him to use his time to rest up and keep rehabbing from the disease so it doesn't progress. That wasn't the case. Fast forward to early 2018, my youngest brother, Marcus, would graduate from high school. And if I could pull, I'll show some pictures here and there. If I could pull up, oh Jesus, no thanks, go away, no, 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 no thanks. Oh my God, just stop it, Jesus. I don't know why this thing is doing this. That's all of our FiveM stuff. Give me a minute. Jesus. Um, It's in here somewhere. I used it as my desktop icon at one point. I'm always losing stuff. I just can't believe it's not on here. Or is it? It's on here somewhere. And I'm just not seeing it. Um, yeah, I have no clue. I have no idea where it could have disappeared to. Maybe this? That was a video project thing. iCloud. Uploads? No? Nope, it's not that one. It's not that either. Anywho, it was more of a it was more of a it was more of a it's difficult. It's difficult to explain, only in the sense to where there we go. That's what I'll do. Because I want to share this stuff with you guys because I don't hide things, especially to my viewers. I care about you guys and I don't do that kind of crap. Um, just give me a minute here. I really appreciate the time. I should have had this prepared, but the thing was I thought it was already in there. Alright, I got it now. So this right here is a picture of myself, my brother, and my dad. Um, this was in early 2018. You can kind of tell on my dad's face that he wasn't doing too well. He looked like he was getting better because he was gaining the weight back that he was losing. But obviously it's springtime, it was about 70 degrees, and he's wearing a sweatshirt, so he was cold all the time. And my dad was always in bed, but somehow, some way, he had the strength to get up to actually attend this. And it was rough for all of us seeing him. Like, he was trying really hard to smile in a sense where he just didn't look so tired. But He was in pain at the same time. He also had about a 50-inch hernia hanging out of his gut, so the sweater was kind of hiding it, but he also wore a back brace to kind of hold that thing in, so it wasn't really all that noticeable. And I was just a chunky motherfucker back then. All I ever did was eat. Um, it's really crazy when you think about it. It just goes to show the kind of person that my dad was. My dad was always full of smiles and always loved having fun. So to see him in that kind of state of mind, it was one of those things where it sucked because he couldn't be himself when he really wanted to. So that kind of like drills in the issue. But my dad was the most giving person in the world. He would give you his shirt off his back. If you he could have gave you his last dollar just so you could eat. He'd make food. My dad loved cooking. That was the one thing he loved doing. Um, there was one day in particular he cooked this food and just put it into a bunch of Tupperware and went around and knocked on people's doors in the neighborhood and and he says to them, "This is for you. God loves you." And that was at the point where I really felt he was getting his strength back, but at the same time I also felt he was either getting worse and was just preparing for it. Because there was one day in particular he um I lost my place. Yeah, there was one day in particular he asked me to go take a walk with him, and and I went with him, and it was just a wonderful day outside. And we're walking. I'm like, "What are you looking at?" And he's like, "Nothing. I'm just it's beautiful outside." No, I'm enjoying being out here. And he's like, "I want you to do something for me." I'm like, "Anything." And he's like, "I can't stress this enough, Josh. When the time comes, I need you to step up, take care of your mom, but most importantly, take care of Matthew and take care of Cody." It took my dad literally 2 years to get her name right. He was calling her Corey. Corey. He was calling her that for 2 years. Irritated the hell out of me, but he finally caught on to what it was. Um, and, don't take care of them because you're going to wind up losing them like I almost lost your mom. And my dad was a very smart man. He was a great man. He made sure that every waking moment in me and my little brother's life was full of the best that it could be. He tried his hardest to make every Christmas, every birthday as special as he could. He made very little money, but he made it happen to where that Christmas tree every year was full of shit. And well, some years he would get a Christmas bonus. So And even with that, that's what he would use to make Christmas shopping a little bit easier. And it was difficult because it, I always wanted to help my dad. As I got older as a teenager, my dad was busting his ass and made sure everything happened the way it did. So, I went on that walk with him. And then there was one day he took me to work. We got into an argument over money. We were struggling towards the end. And he dropped me off. He's like, "I hate you." I'm like, "Well, I hate you too." And I didn't realize at that moment that'd be the last time I'd have a conversation with him. Later that evening, he drove himself to the hospital because his hernia was leaking uh, like water or fluid, as you may. And he said, "Oh, I'll be out of here in the morning. They're just going to drain it out and go in there and block the leak." And they did all that. The next morning, his blood pressure dropped after the procedure was done. And he had an internal bleed somewhere. And during that time, they had to go in there, stop the bleed. They went in there with a stent, which is a risky surgery. It didn't do much. We went to go see him, and he was like in a frightened state. He had tears in his eyes, but he was like telling me exactly what he told me months prior. Take care of your mom. Please take care of your mom. Please take care of Cody. Please take care of Matthew. Especially Matthew. He needs his daddy. And I kept my word. And the next morning we get a call from the doctor. It's like his blood pressure dropped more. We got him on a ventilator. Um, there hasn't been any brain activity as of recent, but we're gonna give it another day, see what happens. Um, Next morning came around. We came in to visit him. Doctor pulls us aside and it's like he's got no brain activity. He's brain dead at the moment. There's not more. There's not much more we can do. So I went back in there and I took a look at my dad, and just seeing him like that was like, it was hard. Um, I've never seen my dad in that kind of state before, so what I had done was my mom was just outside herself, and I was arguing with myself in my head for about 10 minutes. I told my mom stay with him, and I stepped outside and I pulled the doctor aside. I'm like, "What do I need to sign?" And he's like, "What do you mean?" "I want you to turn the machine off. I'm gonna get on a call with my brothers, and we're gonna make a group decision as his sons, and we are gonna make this decision. My mom is in no state of mind to do this, 'cause she's just gonna want to keep him here, and that's not fair to my dad." So I had called my brother Gabriel first, and in the 26 years, 25 years that I've known my brother at that time, I've never seen my older brother cry about anything. But all I can hear in his voice was, "God, forgive my wretched soul." My oldest brother was the biggest wretch on the earth when he was younger. Troublemaker everywhere. Juvenile detention centers all the time. High school dropout. Um, my brother Mello was already in the hospital. I said, "What do you want to do?" And he's like, "Yeah, turn it off." And that left Marcus. And the thing was, he was graduating from the Marine Corps the next day. So I had to had the hospital get in contact with the Red Cross to get a hold of him. he had called back, and I said, "You gotta say goodbye to Dad, dude." And he's like, "What do you mean?" It's like, "He's on life support, and we're gonna take him off of it. So if you want to say goodbye, this is your chance to do so." And all I can hear is the pain in my little brother's voice, a pain I have never seen. It was almost like my dad could hear him, but I don't think he was there, but he wasn't. So, uh, after that, that's what my brother said. That's 4-4. Just turn it off. And so they just started taking out all the needles and the wires, and we sat and watched the heart rate monitor go from like, I think it was from 98, then it went down to about 65, and in about 30 minutes or so, or 10, 15 minutes after that, it just went to zero, and the doctor came in, checked his vitals and everything to make sure that the machine wasn't, and he just said, "I'm sorry, but he has died." So at that moment in time, I was alone the rest of the night. Cody tried so hard to comfort me, and this is the fact I lashed out at her that night, and I said, "I just killed my dad, just leave me alone." And that's how I felt in my mind, is that I killed my dad. I made a decision to let him die. But I later realized that he's not in pain. He was in pain, and he wanted to be with his mom. Um, my grandma was his best friend in the whole wide world. It was his girlfriend, as he would call her. He would talk to her every day when she was around. When she passed away, my dad wasn't the same. Same with his dad. He was close to both his parents. So even though I can never understand a word that either of them said because they didn't speak English so good, so it was hard for me to understand them when I did get to meet them and talk with them. Um, fast forward. Fast forward about a week. All the planning for the funeral began. The thing was his brothers and sisters came down from Florida. They just took over everything. They didn't let my mom make any decisions. They blamed my mom for a lot of my dad being the way he was, and that he was constantly taking care of her, but she wouldn't take care of him. It was bad. And what it came down to at that point was, I don't know why that's there. I got a lot of crap in here that I shouldn't even have. Um, that was the first time. Jesus. Wait a minute here. It's not capturing what it's supposed to, apparently. Why is it not? Seriously? That was the first time in 25 years that me and my brothers ever were that close. Um, it was hard because the four of us never really understand these kinds of things. And we never thought that my dad would go out the way he did. It was hard on all of us. And that was the first time that we ever even had a bond, period. So we're a lot closer now than we were before, and I think that kind of sucks because that wasn't fair to my dad, because that's what he always wanted, was for all of us, all of his sons, to get along. But all we ever did was try to kill each other all the time. And it was always about we had ego problems with each other. We always thought one had it better than the other or worse than the other. We were better at this or one was better at that. It was just ego, ego everywhere. And my soon-to-be mother-in-law at the time had made something very special. That's not it. Shit. Had made something very special after that had happened. And I'm trying to find it. She had made this, and the only thing I was very grateful for at the time was that my dad got to know my son. Matthew was his little rock. Every morning, first thing he would do when he got out of bed was to go see him and play with him. And when I read this every day, I literally read this every day because it's very special to me. And I'll always love her for that. And that's what Matthew remembers him as, is Papa. And some point in my life, my next son or daughter will know that their their papa was a great man with a very big heart who loved everybody. That's where I kind of learned also, though, at my dad's funeral, is when I kind of noticed there were signs going on that my fiance at the time was drifting off. She didn't go up to his casket or anything like that to say goodbye, and he treated her like his own daughter. And it was confusing. But after my dad died, that's when she started to change drastically. So fast forward into 2019, we tried to get our life back on track. And I was a victim of a car crash shortly after my dad passed away. I got T-boned on my way home from work. Um, I was crossing the intersection. It was heavy traffic, and one driver was letting me pass. The other guy thought he was gonna blast right past me, and he blasted right off my my front end on the left-hand side. So, I had opened the door and fallen out the door, and because I was shook, I had a bad back, so my spine was kind of shook. And apparently, after due process, it was deemed that apparently I was at fault for it. So I've been paying this douchebag $100, $150 every month for I think it was like, what was it, $2,500 worth of damage to his car. I still got 1,800, 1,300 to pay on that motherfucker. Um, and I also inherited a lot of my dad's bills, which I wasn't just gonna let go to collections or because they refused to write it off. So during that process, that's when me being poor kind of became or me struggling to survive became a thing. And it was rough because I was working part-time, paying for all of this. Then I had a full-time job through a temp agency after I had left UPS because of a union dispute. We weren't getting the pay bump that we wanted. We weren't getting the full-time jobs that we earned. So a lot of us just kicked the bucket on it. I wound up at a place called Expeditors, which was another shipping company. Unlimited overtime. You could pretty much start your shift at 7 at night and work till 5, 6, 7 in the morning if you wanted to. You could work as much as you want, all the overtime you wanted. Thing was, it was overnights, so it kicked the shit out of me to where I couldn't handle it. It was disrupting my life and my relationship because I couldn't spend time with my son. I wasn't able to spend time with my fiance at the time. So, fast forward through 2019, I wind up at GameStop, where I went from, I think, seasonal employee to assistant store leader in about a year. So I've shot up that ladder like a rocket. And it's one of those things where you know, but you don't know. End of 2019 comes through, and that's when COVID comes through. I was getting promoted to assistant store leader. I had just gotten the promotion, told my family about it, and my fiance at the time just looked at me with this look like she was done. Like, now I'm never going to see him. He's going to be working every day, all day kind of thing. And we had like an arguments here and there for about a month, and then my birthday came around, she was gone. That's when the downslide with me began. Um, like I said, it was for somebody older and more mature. I went on a downward spiral beyond anything I could have thought it was. I developed a drinking problem of my own. I drank like crazy. Wasn't just beer here and there. It was heavy alcohol to where I didn't feel shit. There was one day I remember in particular, me and my friends, we'd go to this bar on Mannheim Road. It was called Carl's. It was a bar slash tit bar. So like they had girls in there that do dances. And all my savings pretty much went because between tits and booze, you kind of get, that's what happens. I remember one day in particular, I couldn't walk back. My buddy Kevin had to carry me on his shoulders back to the house. Some days we just go to a regular bar, which was right by my house. I walked out that door one day, I fell right on my face. I couldn't walk. Um, as the months went on, going into like late July, early August, my friends were finding me in vacant lots, playgrounds, parking lots, dog park, just laying there. And I wouldn't even know how I got there. They had an intervention for me. It's like, bro, you gotta stop. This is what killed your old man. You have a little boy to live for. You gotta stop, dude. This shit's gonna kill you. This shit is killing you. And grieving the relationship over booze and random women you don't know dancing on your crotch isn't gonna help anything. So what I did with what I had was um, I did of a lot of thinking about all of that, and took all of that to heart. So, I would, I started playing my guitar more and using that as kind of like a way to cope with things. So it was one of those things where I got to get out of this funk and figure it out. The music helped for a while, but it wasn't completely helping to the fullest. Trying to see if I'm missing anything. Okay. Yeah, so how I wound up coping was the fact that I admire a lot of art and stuff like that. And the fact that I just didn't feel any pain from all the drinking that I was doing, but I started to develop habits outside of that were quite unhealthy, and I became kind of like a recluse, if that makes sense, by any stretch of the imagination. Jesus. So, what I wound up doing was turning to tattoos um, for a source of kind of like just so I could feel something. So, I'll explain each one in detail because they all show very much relative in my life. Um, so, the Alter Bridge tattoo comes from, I'm a huge Alter Bridge fan. Um, I spent a lot of time, I watched WWE growing up. There was a certain group, there was one song, I think it was Edge, had like this very metalish, rockish song, and I'm like, who's the artist for that? And me and my friends, we tried for years because we were just kids. We didn't know much about it until one day there was one show that they had on TV, and they were on there, and then pretty much said, hey, those are the guys. I'm like, oh. So I started listening to their music, and I was able to connect with a lot of the songs as I got older. The Blackbird above it specifically, they had an album called Blackbird, which was their second album. That song holds very, very personal to me. It's one of their longest songs, but it's also one of the most personal aspects of my life. The lettering's red because it was the album cover letters were red, so that's basically where that came from. Um, where are the arrows on this freaking thing? Can I shrink this down? Next? No? Maybe? Was able to do it before. Next one? No? Uh, Tet number 2. Why is it not showing? Oh, I know why. I gotta re-pull it back up. The Reaper. That Reaper in particular is, if any of you are fans of Sons of Anarchy, that is the SOA Reaper. That one is, I most, that one, that's a personal pain. Um, that was actually the one tattoo I had that didn't hurt, period. No discomfort. I know so a lot of the ones I had mostly had discomfort, but there was one in particular that was just painful as shit. But there aside from it being one of my favorite shows of all time, it holds a personal factor to me as well. That especially when it comes to the bloody scythe at the end there. I live off the I live off the concept of you reap what you sow. So for the perfect example is when my relationship got sour with my fiance over time because of the reason she left was because of the fact I wasn't changing. And I found out after she had left that I was diagnosed with a brain cyst, which is where all of my anger issues and a lot of my mood swings were pursuing from. It was about the size of a tennis ball or a golf ball. I can't remember. I think it was like 13, 14, 16 centimeters. It was pretty big. And adrenaline was backed up behind it, so like it couldn't process through the veins properly or through the pituitary gland properly. So they said, well, it's a cyst, so we can drain it. So we don't have to go into your head. We're going to go through the femoral artery, which is an artery in your thigh, which is near your crotch. Thankfully, the doctor was a woman. Um, so they went in with a thermoscope. So it's like a little scope about yay thin. They go through my femoral artery that goes all the way up through my heart into my brain to where the cyst was, and they drained it. It completely just drained it out. Got all the fragments out with the little proby fingers it has on it. And I had to go through a bunch of like physical therapies after that neurologically. Now, unfortunately, I'm prone to seizures now because of it. So, because it basically how it was discovered, I was playing with my son because she let me keep him for that weekend because she left on a Friday, so she let me have him through the weekend while she got settled with her mom. So we were playing with his cars on the floor, and I felt funny. The room was kind of like waving back and forth. So I'm like, something's not right, something's wrong. Next thing you know, I wake up in the hospital and they said, you had a seizure. You were gone for 5 minutes. By the time we got to your house, we had to bring you back. Um, I choked on my tongue, apparently, in front of my 2-year-old. Um, so that's when they discovered it, and my neurologist was telling me like, we're gonna go in there, we're gonna take care of it, we're gonna get that out of there. They got it out. I did a bunch of vision tests, lighting tests to see if the lighting would trigger seizures. It didn't. It took me a while to get my balance back completely. Had to learn how to do certain things over again, but not over again, but like I have a hard time remembering things from time to time. It has affected that drastically. Um, so it kind of comes the fact if I would have she was always telling me that there was something wrong with me to get it checked out, that she knew something was wrong, and this is what I get for not doing it. I lost her. Um, so it holds true to that saying, you reap what you sow. So that's why I kind of also got it, not just for the factor that it's a cool looking piece and that it was a great show, but it holds that context. And the blood on there is basically just reaping what I sowed. So The thing was that shading was supposed to be more of a turquoise blue, which is kind of like a blue-green kind of blue, and the guy didn't listen. Um, so when I get it reshaded, when I get it touched up, I'm going to have him just add that color in there and color over it. Um, Next one. Some of you guys may laugh at me. Well, fuck off. Um, I'm a huge, huge Little Mermaids fan. Little Mermaid, sorry. So I got Ariel as well. Um, she's actually one of my favorite tattoos. Um, she's the reminder of the innocence that's in my innocent half, my innocent days when I was a kid. So she holds very true to my childhood, to where I was once innocent like any other child. Um, that tattoo represents innocence and purity. Um, the color scheme on it was great. All my tattoos were done by the same artist, but Ariel was done by a different one in the same shop. But his name was, I get mine by a guy named Jared from Atmosphere Tattoos. If you guys live in the Chicago area or near the Franklin Park area, drop by Atmosphere Tattoo. Ask for Mike, Jared, Vito. Ask for any one of those three guys. They do great work. Vito did my Ultra Bridge tattoo. Mike did Ariel, and she's actually not actually completed. She's been healed up since about October. So what was supposed to happen was she's supposed to have water in the background, but he didn't want to do all of it at once. He didn't want me to be sore as shit. So I got to get that done at some point. When I'm waiting for either my tax refund or my stimulus so I can get my bills paid, and whatever I have left, I'm gonna go and get that water put in. Surprisingly, for it being on the forearm, that didn't hurt at all. Um, but she's my favorite one. She's fucking hot. Ha ha ha. Now to the personal pieces. That middle section there is my father's name. His name was Carmelo. So that's where you get Carmelo Jr. from, my brother. Um, my son is right above my dad with his birth date. There is a dove on the other side. If I can flip it over. Yeah, there we go. Close that. Blow this bad boy up. Boing. The dove carries my son on his right wing to my dad up to heaven to visit him. My son's alive. Some people ask if they're both deceased. They're not. My son is just basically, it rides on the dove to visit my dad in heaven. Has a crucifix. The dove is carrying a crucifix in its on his feet. There's beads there that it's holding. That took Jared about 4 hours to do for all of that, which is quite impressive. Another personal pain. This one's a bit confusing. I have to explain it in depth. So I'll start with the eyeball. The eyeball is a hazel eye, which represents two different things. It represents a Breaking Benjamin song called What Lies Beneath. If you guys ever have the opportunity to listen to it, listen to it. It's a really good song, and if it connects with you well, then you'll understand the lyrics and the emotion and the depthness to it. But it also represents my ex-fiance's eye. She had hazel eyes, but it's one of her eyes. Half of it's bloodshot, the other half is clean. One half is crying a tear of blood, the other is purity. So, the reason why her eye is bloodshot is because she was struggling with the fact that our relationship was just falling apart. It was crumbling. Her heart was breaking. She was depressed. She was super stressed out with everything. And she was crying tears of blood because she was just dying inside. The other side is a clear side with a regular tear. She is when she felt free when she left. She got out of the relationship and she felt free. She felt pure again. She just was free of that depression, free of the sadness and the devastation and the wreckage. The eye with the devil horns is also, they're not just devil horns, it's actually devil horns slash halo. So you got a halo and the devil horns together. So the eye, and it says, I will not bow, which is another one of their songs. That, as you guys know, that shadow figure is off of their record, Phobia. That shadow guy in this case represents me. And I have two different wings. One in which is a demon's wing, one is an angel's wing. Now, the demon wing was all me. With all of my behavioral stuff and the mental abuse that I put my ex-fiance through because of the bullshit with this brain crap. The lyrics, I will not bow, represents that I will never bow to that person again. I will not break and become that person. Unfortunately, in the instances in the things that have been happening to me as of late, it's happening. It has happened. I've completely shut the world away. I've been radio silent the whole day, and I don't think much is going to change tomorrow either, or the day after. I don't know. I either pissed off or upset a lot of people today, and sent a lot of people away with how they were treated today. So it's been hard to maintain that saying. The angel wing was actually Cody's side of the figure. She was always the sweet person and the one that wanted to work on things, and she was always nice. She was selfless, pure, innocent, all of that. Not much now, but back then she was. The flames is the relationship and the romance burning up. The Celtic cross represents the Irish in my blood. I carry that with pride. I think the Irish have a very good culture. At some point in my life, I am going to travel to Ireland and drink every bit of alcohol that they have there and I am not leaving Ireland until I've tried every last one of them. And the fact that they like to kick people's asses, and I'd like to go to Ireland and have a bar fight. Um, Dumb dream, but oh well, we only live once. But the flames, yeah, is the romance burning up and dying pretty much. So you got the devil horns for my half of the wing, and then the halo for Cody's half. Then you got two Breaking Benjamin symbols in that, aside from the lyrics, is the shadow figure and the Breaking Benjamin symbol in the center of the figure. It also represents a third song. So I have three songs practically explained in one tattoo piece. You've got What Lies Beneath, I Will Not Bow, but it also represents Evil Angel, which I play on my guitar a lot. That song reigns in my head all day. Evil Angel has a very strong connection to me. A lot of their songs I reckon I can connect with. Ben is a very strong thinker. And the thing was, me and him aren't much different. We both struggle with depression. We both we both struggle with phobias. I have several phobias. I won't fly. I won't ride on a freaking boat. Um, I'm arachnophobe. Um, I have fear of the dark. I'm claustrophobic. Um, what else is there? It's a number of different phobias. Oh, I have a fear of hospitals and anything surgical. So it's just one of those. I'm also um, a hypochondriac, which is a now been confirmed as a phobia. So it's a big struggle. But on top of that, the biggest thing that me and Ben would share is the alcoholism. It's hard to overcome, but it's also caused both of us over time. Once I basically got through the alcohol phase after my breakup, it was the repercussions from the drinking. I now struggle with physical ailments such as, body aches, dizziness, fatigue. And I've had several tests done and talked to several different specialists, and they can't figure out what's wrong. He's having the same issue, which is weird. But that's just from the long-term effects of alcohol use at a young age. Once you stop, it takes a toll on your body because your body either didn't heal right or you did damage that you didn't know you did. So now it leads to where I am now. Um, Everything that you guys have seen on my channel is all story based. I'm 100% one of the nicest people you'll probably ever meet. I don't judge people. I don't discriminate against gays, special needs people, none of that. Um, for some of you that saw my streams and that didn't like how some things were perceived as a character, it's all character based. The only thing I'm just really good at is creating stories and role playing those stories. Um, if you guys watch back on the review that I did with Sherry on A Way Out, our role play that we did with our two characters was off the cuff. Basically, it took me about 8 months to put together before we even role played it out. So a lot of my RPs basically that led from there with the Lost. And the stuff with the Lost was off the cuff. I didn't have any of that written down in my notebook like I normally would do. It comes to my head and I would just snap it in. It's like copy paste, plug it in kind of thing. But we'll get more into that. Next piece on the tattoo list. Fucker will show. Probably not. No? Not gonna? Okay. Try again. If at first you don't succeed, try again. There it is. Um, Biggest musical influence and practically the group that has saved my life. Linkin Park. Chester Bennington, as we all know, was an influence to a lot of people. His music spoke volumes. Um, I remember one day in particular when I was in high school, I attempted suicide, and for the first time, I had my radio playing because I didn't want my parents to hear. Um, and In the End started playing on the radio, and I stopped what I was doing and I was just listening to this, and I'm like, wow, that was heavy. That was deep. So I picked up Hybrid Theory at Walmart and I was listening to it. I'm like, holy shit. And then you kind of just fast forward to all the albums that come out. And if you really think about it, each album that came out, from Hybrid Theory to Meteora to the collaboration to the Catalyst to Hunting Party to One More Light. You put all those together. Oh, Minutes to Midnight. If you put all those albums together, you get one big suicide note. Chester's music was just one big suicide note. And he was the one who knew, if anybody knew depression, it was he did. It was just the heaviness of it. And it, everybody who listened to his music embraced the fact, and he saved so many lives by simply just, it wasn't just his music, it was how he would talk to the fans. And connect with the audience. It was it was heavy. And that's why I'm saying you can't judge people with depression for killing themselves and call them cowards. You don't know the heaviness. You don't know the weight that it carries being a depressant. Until you know, you can't judge. But all those albums were simply just one big suicide note that he obviously never acted on until it just got too bad. And I'll always remember how much his music saved my life. Poop. Good Charlotte. Another music group that was very I hold close to from my high school years. Very that I connected with a lot. A lot of their songs, such as March On, Misery, Actual Pain, um, Cardiology, and I think it was Like It's Her Birthday, and there was one more. We Believe. So a lot of their songs resonate with me. In a sense, the misery comes from the depression and the constant miserableness that I feel all the time. March On is the fact that I just plow through it every day and make it through the if I make it through the night, I'll see the sun, which is what always happens. We Believe is just knowing that it could be worse. I could be dead and not here. Um, like It's Her Birthday resonates just from the fact that it was about cheating. And before, the biggest issue with my previous relationship was the unfaithfulness on her end. So there's that. Their latest song off of their newest record, which is called Generation X, is called Actual Pain. Um, it opens with a lyric called "Tell me why I hurt this way. Should I even love you anymore? I don't want to find out why. I'm too scared to look behind that door. I put my trust in all my fate, and every word between us spoken. Why do I believe the things you say when my heart's already broken?" That one hits close to home, considering it's how I felt the day she walked out the door. and it's painful. All my tattoos tell a story, and they resonate. I wanted them because each of my tattoos are a scar of my past, and I wanted to be reminded that my past is real. My tattoo are my scars, my mental scars, my physical scars. It's what they are. They're representations of things that I love, once loved, and was and what I once was. I think I got them all. Am I missing any? I don't think so. Pretty much exposed them all. My next piece I'm working on once I'm done with my debts and get all that squared away and get my ass back in gear. There's two pieces or three to complete my left arm and well my upper left arm, and then my upper right arm is going to be well my hands as well. Um, Next one I want to get is a Slipknot piece. Slipknot has been a big part of my teenage years and my adulthood now. The only music nowadays that calms me down aside from Linkin Park is Slipknot. Um, I'm a big Stone Sour fan, so pretty much I've been a big Corey Taylor fan my entire life. That man is a musical genius. Um, Slipknot just resonates in their song. Their songs are all based off of all nine of them and their personal pains. Um, Corey and Clown, aka Sean Crahan, are the two frontmans of the band. Sean was the founder and the leader of the band. Corey was kind of like the second wind. It was founded with Paul Gray, who passed away in '09. So, you got nine guys who had a vision, and that vision has just been crazy. But their music may be crazy and full of violence, death, destruction, and cussing, but that's how they project their transgressions onto the world and they share it with everybody. So it's it's a great feeling knowing that you could put music into that. It's freaking great. And even though Paul's not with them anymore and they got Alessandro now who replaced Paul, who's been doing a great job filling those shoes that Paul once was using. And Joey being diagnosed with a form of multiple sclerosis and was forced basically into drumming retirement because he lost use of his legs. He couldn't drum anymore. Now they have Jay Winberg, who they call JPEG, who's been doing a fantastic job filling those shoes. And I think they've gotten better with the evolution, and their newest record, I'm Not Your Kind, it's an awesome record. And they're just going to continue to evolve until neither of them can play anymore. And I will have a Slipknot piece, and I think that piece is going on my hand. It's just going to be the pentagram with the tribal S. I would have loved to have gotten a band piece on my upper arm, but I got these skinny ass arms and they're not going to fit. So that's the story of my ink, pretty much. You can kind of see my fat head kind of in that picture too. Well, my beard anyway, which isn't there anymore. Now we kind of get into the aspects, which was me getting into YouTube. I didn't really get into doing that up until I came back to the server that I was playing on and reconnected with friends and started doing what I was doing. It wasn't easy, but I wound up doing it, and my channel took off in pretty much 30 days. Pretty much 60 days, I went from 30 subs to almost 200 now, and I've been working really hard. Aside from the speed bump that I've hit with, me having to leave that particular server. And the thing is, guys, I know that last bit of RP that I was doing was kind of brutal to watch, but if you take to heart, I was role playing a one percenter motorcycle club. I was the vice president. So at that point, when the president isn't present, the VP takes leadership point. I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but prospects in real life are treated like dirt. If you tell a prospect in real life to go lick horse cum off the sidewalk, you better hope you're on your knees licking that shit off the sidewalk. It wasn't a matter that, you know, Panda was special needs. That was not the issue. In real life, OOC, which we call is out of character, Panda's one of my closest friends. I would talk to him outside of FiveM on Discord all the time. Matter of fact, I talked to him earlier today. We were talking about his new character, Beepo or something like that. He made some alien character that's actually put inside the CAD, which I thought was pretty creative and pretty cool. And I wish him the best in his, evolving with RP. I'm sure, Onyx and Buddha and he's been spending a lot of time with Country Boy and J-Pac. I really hope that those guys help Panda evolve and become a better role player. He's a great guy. I know I may have seemed hard on him, but it was an RP. And maybe it was he wasn't understanding that I was just role playing a character. So I had to make that clear to him, but I understand that. Some people will see that differently and see me as being abusive towards somebody. But watch enough Sons of Anarchy and you'll see how bad the prospects are treated. It's pretty shitty. It is. I've always thought he had potential. That's why two of my streams, I took time out of my day to try and help him better his role-playing abilities. I never had an issue with the kid. I wanted him to succeed on Cuffs. I always did. Did I fuck with him here and there? Yeah, but it was all in fun. And I wish everybody from Onyx, Rye, Buddha, Ace, Panda, I wish everybody on that server the best. I really hope that Cuffs grows into the community that they want it to be. I'll always be a Cuffs supporter. I always will be. I'll always be there supporting them. And, if they don't want it, I'm still going to support it. That's just how I am. I miss playing there. I miss doing my role plays there. For some of you that don't know, I did send a personal apology letter to Onyx. Well, I attempted to, but I had to send it to somebody else because I couldn't contact him directly. I'm hoping that he read it, and I'm, hoping he can accept my apology. I'm not expecting any miracles or anything like that. It's like my letter stated. I was willing to accept any consequences that came along. I went on a drunken tirade, said something that I shouldn't have said, and I should have basically stayed off the PC while I was on the sauce. It is what it is. But it is what it is. And to the contrary, I'm trying to work on some new ideas, and I'm kind of running on dry. So I'm really hoping I can come up with something. I've been working on some story ideas for the RP that I did have on that particular server that I have to bring somewhere else. So I've actually had to revamp it because now the story is going to kind of twist around. Considering I was the VP of the Lost then, there's the Lost on this server, but I'm pretty sure the story on there with Rebel is pretty much already set in stone. He's already got his VP and he's already got whatever's going on. So that's it wouldn't have worked out if I would have brought that story over there. So it don't mix. Um, but now to how I got into RP in the first place. I used to write graphic novels when I was in high school. I would have this notebook that I would write these insane freaking stories in. And they're kind of like books, kind of. I wouldn't say books, but like novels. And I would just write for hours on end during study hall. Because by the time study hall came around, my homework was already done. I would do that shit at lunch. I was a total nerd in high school. I got all my work done before the end of the day. So anytime I had a class and had extra time, I was either fucking around on my calculator or writing graphic novels or comics or something. Uh, I was a total geek, and that's all I would do. Um, I loved writing stories. So like when I found out that this role play thing was a thing, um, Mark, who you guys know as Murky in FiveM, who's now deceased, um, told me about FiveM and like, yeah, you role play in these servers. Like, okay, well, fuck it. And that's how I got into Cuffs. So when I first started in Cuffs, my RP was trash. Then I kind of like got the idea of like, okay, this is no different than writing a graphic novel and basically just acting it out, turning your novel into an actual scene. That's basically what it was. Um, but pretty much at that point, I have no idea. I can't see my chat, so I can't see if you guys have asked questions or anything like that. My chat's not working. Um, Not on my end anyway, which is fine. Um, I've known Mark for 10 years, and him bringing me over there was the was good because it gave me an outlet, but it also interfered a lot with my relationship as well. So it it's been it's been rough these past few months. It still is. Um, I've kind of like I said, I've shut the world away and shut people out, and I kind of developed hatred for people in general. One person I told today, I just turned my back on everything and everyone, just for the simple fact it's just like I'm sick of it. Ever since I got relieved of my duties from Cuffs, I haven't been the same. I don't want to be around people. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to talk much. I don't want to be around anything. That's just how things have been. So I've pretty much covered every basis of my life. Um, I was bullied a lot, you know, shoved into lockers and spit in my food, food thrown at me. When we were learning how to swim, I was pushed in the pool. Um, Pretty much any jock prank that a jock could do to a geek has pretty much been done to me. Um, Never had any major surgeries, thankfully, for the amount of injuries that have occurred in my life. I used to be a very stupid person as an adolescent. I did a lot of backyard wrestling with my buddies and beat the shit out of my body. So aside from UPS, that shit beat the hell out of me too. Between fluorescent light bulbs, um, steel chairs, pieces of plywood, garbage cans, styrofoam, like styrofoam containers, which aren't like styrofoam being soft. These things are hard ass pieces of styrofoam. Um, what else am I missing? Croquet mallets. Um, Falling off of ladders and falling off of trampolines. It's just abuse of the body over and over and over and over again. I think the last time I've competed in one of those fights was actually 2 years ago. 2 birthdays ago. It was at my 25th birthday party was the last time I competed. I actually buckled my knee pretty bad. I was standing on the top of my neighbor's fence, pretty high fence. I think it's about like, I don't know, 6 or 7 feet high. And I launched myself off of it onto three of my friends. They kind of like, I kind of dogpiled on them. So I kind of like just jumped on them and knocked them to the floor. And one of my friends actually was like bent over. One of my friends had me up, like grabbed me from behind, like he was gonna German suplex me. So when he went to do that, I kind of backflipped over him. But when I landed kind of funny to where like I landed where my knee kind of like bent outward and it buckled under me. And I got kicked in the face, and somehow I managed to still compete the rest of that match while my knee was fucked up. Like I couldn't put weight on it. I either sprained it, pulled something, I don't know what it was, but like I still managed to fight through the whole thing. And I think it was until my one buddy picked me up and Brock Lesnar F5'd my ass right on the grass. About 2 or 3 times he did that. One of them I actually landed and my head bounced off the sidewalk. I didn't protect myself properly. I landed funky, so I couldn't really protect myself properly. I was like, you know what, fuck it. And ever since then, like, I was concussed in that fight. At that point, I was pretty concussed, and I was competing with a concussion and a bum leg at that point. So I was kind of like throwing caution to the wind back and forth. Um, I kept doing these crazy things. And like, how is he doing this? And like, dude, you're concussed. You gotta stop. We gotta go. Like, you need to go chill. My eyes were glassy, so as I'm competing in this fight and I'm just instinctively fighting, I got dropped on my head a fourth time. It was like, just stay down, dude. Just, put me over. I'm like, just laying there. The referee guy's counting 1, 2, and I just keep on pulling my shoulder. I was like, what the fuck? Everybody's like, what the fuck? What are you doing? You're hurt. I'm like, nah. So at that point, I got speared about 3 or 4 times before at that point it was done and over with. I couldn't get up anymore. But, my I wound up bruising my meniscus that at that point is with diagnosis and the concussion, and that was it. After that, I stopped the fights. I couldn't do it anymore. I was 25 years old, and I had been doing those wrestling fights since I was 12 years old. So for 13 years, I was doing these backyard fights and abusing the shit out of my body. 25 years, dead. But that's pretty much the story of my life, and I'll have to check tomorrow if my chat will pop back up or if there's any comments in the description. If you guys want to put any comments in the description below, put any comments you want. If you guys have a question or a question, whether it's a personal question or just a standard question, you could ask. I'm not going to be offended by it. That's what this stream is about. Questions, answers, and me giving you guys the insight of my life outside of YouTube. Um, you have to do it in the comment section because the chat's being an asshole. Um, I'm a junk food junkie. Um, between energy drinks, junk food in general. Um, I'm more of a DC fan versus a Marvel fan. Um, I'm a very big avid Yu-Gi-Oh player, so don't ever say you can outplay me because I'll fuck you up. I collect Pokemon cards. I was in kindergarten when Pokemon came out, so y'all could suck a dick. So yeah, I'm from that generation. Um, what else am I missing? I'm blind as shit, so I wear glasses. Um, so I wear glasses because I'm legally blind, so I need glasses to actually see. If I'm caught driving without them and I'm legally blind, I can actually go to jail. Uh, um, my hobbies on the side. I'm an avid pool player. Oh, I can actually see a question from Toru. Yes, I'm a big Italian food eater. That's actually the only thing I can see is Toru. Weird. I don't see anybody else. I'm a big Italian food eater, so I'll eat pasta, I'll eat lasagna, I'll eat meatballs, sausage, um, tortellini, fettuccine. I'll eat anything under the freaking sun. I'm not picky with foods, but Italian foods are my favorite foods. Um, I'm an avid pool player. My grandfather taught me when I was 6, so I've kind of become kind of a pro at it. Um, at the bar, I'm known as the pool shark. So it's a lot of fun with that. Bowling's another hobby for me. Gaming, obviously. I play guitar very well. I taught myself a year ago, and I'm kind of on a totally different level than I was then. Um, I have a dartboard in my room that I put. It depends on who I'm pissed off with that day. I'll put a picture of that person on the dartboard, and they just get demolished and destroyed. Um, I'm also a drummer. I just don't have a set. I had a set of drums a long time ago, and somehow they got lost somewhere. No, I don't have anybody blocked. Um, what else? Yeah, I'm a percussionist, so I do play drums. I'm very good with computer programming and stuff like that. I'm very good with electronics devices, phones, computers, tablets, the whole 9 miles. Um, I suffer from tinnitus, which comes a lot from my years of blasting loud music in my ear and obviously being a musician on top of that. Um, I'm an action figure collector of only horror movie icons and certain superheroes. So like I got a Jason Voorhees NECA figure, a Pennywise figure, two different Michael Myers NECAs, a Laurie Strode NECA, a Chucky NECA, a Godzilla NECA figure because Godzilla is God, and what else do I got in here? I collect some Funko Pops, so I got like the Kool-Aid Man, I got Scooby and Shaggy from Scooby-Doo, and I got Michael Jordan. I used to have, and I got a Baby Yoda one. I used to have a whole bunch of Funkos, but I needed money. Um, what am I else? Mm, when it comes to game consoles, I'm a PlayStation guy. My favorite horror movie icon is Michael Myers. The Halloween franchise has been a big part of my life since I was 10. I know things about those movies that some people wouldn't even know. Backstories, behind the scenes stuff, deleted script pieces, everything you could ever want to know about it, I know about it. Um, I started a mask collection. I only have the Part 6 mask, so I need to get the rest of them. Um, I don't have any old Nintendo systems. I used to have a Game Boy Color. When Game Boy Color was a thing in the year 2000, I had a red Game Boy Color and I had all the Pokemon games for it. Um, Played a Nintendo 64 at a friend's house. Loved that system. It was a really good system. Had a lot of good games. Especially Super Mario 64 was my favorite one, and GoldenEye. I love piercings as well. I used to have my tongue pierced, but I kept swallowing them, so I don't have them anymore. Yeah, I remember the gray brick Game Boy very fondly. Big ass Game Boy, but overheated a lot. My favorite Pokemon, Noctowl, in shiny format. because I like the red and light brown texture to him, and the fact that he kind of sparkles when he comes out the Pokeball. Um, my favorite Yu-Gi-Oh card is Red Eyes Black Dragon. My favorite, as far as consoles go, I'm a PlayStation fanatic. Um, my favorite game on PlayStation is it's torn between two, Twisted Metal and Spyro. And I kind of felt I was overlapped on the last one. I had one piercing in my life, simply because the fact I just gave up on it. I had my tongue pierced at one point, but I kept swallowing them, so I let that bitch close and just let that ship set sail. I wear skinny jeans a lot. I'm a skinny dude. I wear skinny jeans because I'm still stuck in the punk rock goth phase. Um, Probably will never phase out of that at this point in my life. Um, but I will also be getting my YouTube logo tattooed on me at some point. I just got to figure out where the hell to put it. 'Cause that's going to be a big part of my life as well. Um, I collect shoes. Um, I used to have a very big shoe collection between Jordans, Nikes, and Vans, but unfortunately, I had a lot of the rare shit. But again, needed money, so I sold a lot of my stuff. Um, I think that pretty much covers bases on everything about me. Um, my favorite Pokemon games would be all of them, from blue, red, yellow. The only two I did not like were the black and white series. The graphics were awful and the gameplay mechanics were poop. Black and white were garbage. I didn't play Sun and Moon, but I also noticed that those graphics were bad, so yeah, Sun and Moon would also be on my shit list. Okay, now Sherry's stuff is coming through now. Fucking dumbass Streamlabs. If I could live anywhere in the world, where would it be? Somewhere far the fuck away, away from civilization, with an 8-foot fence around my property, because I don't like people. That's another thing. It's nothing against you guys that watch. I just don't like people. My favorite color is turquoise. I don't like people. I don't get along with people. I could basically be around like people on the mall or like I'm like protected inside of a dome. So at that point it's like a little dome kind of thing. I don't like people. Um, it's simply from the fact that I'm normally pretty private with my life. Aside from tonight, I actually had the guts to do this. But aside from all of that, it's just simply the way I was treated growing up by people and how I was treated with my jobs and stuff. It's just like, people, Nick, yuck. Um, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I'm going to add a Star Wars tattoo piece as well. Star Wars is a big influence in my life. Star Trek could suck a big fat dick. It's a knockoff of Star Wars, and I fucking hate it. I If you're a Trekkie, you can kiss my ass. That's just the joke of it. That's what all Star Wars fans say. If you're a Trekkie, kiss my ass. Um, Big Godzilla fan. I like old horror films as well. My favorite old time movie of all time would be The Creature from the Black Lagoon. Um, I like Shirley Temple movies. Heidi was one of my favorite films out of that bunch. I'm big Wizard of Oz guy. Uh, I have this fixation with kangaroos. I like kangaroos. Kangaroos are cool. Um, I don't know. It's just something about kangaroos. They're really freaking cool. I'm very fixated by them. Um, I like old TV shows like Munsters, Andy Griffith Show. Uh, In the Heat of the Night was a big one I used to watch with my dad growing up. I used to watch that all the time. Um, Big Law and Order guy. The old ones, not like this shit that we're seeing on TV now. SVU is getting a little bit dragged out a bit too far, and it's getting vanilla really quick. Um, I'm also a big fan of the show back in the day was Charmed. There was a show called Charmed with the fucking three hot ass witches that were smoking. Um, yes, Harry Potter is a big, big, big hard on for me. I had a big crush on Ginny Weasley, so yeah, and Emma Watson. Um, Shows that I think that are trash. Uh, NCIS was trash. CSI was trash. Uh, there was another show. Fuck was it? There was another show that was trash. Bones, that was trash. I liked The Closer. Um, I liked this old show. It was called Coach. And then Chips was another good show. Walker, Texas Ranger. If you're not a Chuck Norris fan, get the fuck off my channel. Um, I'm just saying, if you don't like Chuck Norris, get the fuck off my channel. Um, I never got into Back to the Future, to be honest. I didn't like that. I didn't like the actor. Ferris Bueller's Day Off was pretty fucking funny, but that guy's the most bland actor I've ever seen. I'm also an impressionist. Well, at least from what I'm told, I'm an impressionist or a pretty good one. So, like, if you could ask me to do a voice, I probably could do it. I've been told I'm pretty good at it. I call bullshit, but that's just then again that's just me. Um, what else? What else is there? I fear sharks as well. That's another one of my phobias, sharks. Ever since I was stupid enough to where I have a phobia of sharks, and yet I went to go see the Meg in 3D, and I wish I hadn't. Because that motherfucker scared the fuck out of me. Um, Favorite childhood cartoons were Rugrats, Rocket Power, Batman Beyond, Jackie Chan Adventures, um, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon. Uh, Squirtle. Big Ninja Turtles fan. I like Ninja Turtles. Um, uh, I think I pretty much touched. No, Dragon Ball, unfortunately, Toru, I think is shit. I don't understand it. I don't understand that Kame Kameha bullshit in all these different forms. I don't give a shit about Dragon Ball. I don't like anime like that, to be honest. I'm not. If it's one thing, I've only watched one anime in my life, and it was Death Note, and that was the only anime I liked. Was Death Note. That's it. So it's like when it comes to pizza, with me, it's like Leonardo, or I think it was Leonardo that said it. As the wise one said, never pay for late pizza. Um, Favorite genre is horror movies. For as far as movies go, is the horror movies. Um, if I had to choose one thing to do every day, is wake up every day with my son and watch Paw Patrol, Daniel Tiger, Arthur, whatever it may be, and just watch cartoons with him all morning, all day. If that were a possibility, unfortunately, it's not. Um, Other than that, as far as music icons, my favorite bands uh, from top to bottom would be Linkin Park, Slipknot, Alter Bridge, Motorhead, um, let's see, Breaking Benjamin, obviously, Grey Days, Green Day, Good Charlotte, Blink 182, Goldfinger, Avenged Sevenfold, The Beatles, Elvis Presley, Tremonti, Sam Cooke, Lady Gaga, um, Fozzy, Ozzy Osbourne, Panic at the Disco, Black Veil Brides, Stone Sour, Life, Lifehouse, El Nino, Sugar Cult, Evanescence, Paramore, fuck Nickelback. They could suck a bag of dicks. They're Vegas fucking asses. Um, Kansas, Gary Newman, um, what the hell is his name? Luke Bryant, Disturbed, Living Color, Red Jumpsuit Apparatus, Rob Zombie, Kick Ass, Chicago. My dad got me in Chicago, so that band really holds principle. Um, Shinedown, Godsmack, Sum 41, Rev Theory, Dead by Sunrise. The list goes on and on. That's pretty much all I could really touch on as far as me as a person. Um, but that's pretty much all I got. Hit that like button if you guys haven't already. That big red subscribe button. Um, Appreciate those that came out to check out my life story and learning about me as a person and getting to know me as a person, and the fact that now you know exactly the person that you guys watch, the guy that you guys view, and the person behind the, oh, I would say the mastermind behind the role plays, I should say. The mastermind behind the curtain. The man behind the curtain, as they would say. Um, the very last thing I could touch on is the fact that I'm a father first, an entertainer second. Um, that's just how I am. Um, my son is my rock, and if I could have him every day, every second of every day, I think my life would be a hell of a lot easier. In the description below, you guys will find everything you'll need as far as my Instagram and my Facebook page, as well as the links to the people that have been supportive of my channel and that are basically that are also the people I support on the sides. You got C Wine Gaming, Rye Wilson, Crazy Cat Gaming, Stoner Dom, Bradders B, Horseman Gaming, Rebel Gaming, Cage Freedom, Golden Buffy, and Excalibur Gaming. Um, all of that is in the bottom there, as well as the link to my Facebook and Instagram. There's also a link to my merchandise store where you guys can go check out all the cool stuff that's in there. I had that page set up for about a month and a half now. Um, there's also a link there if you guys would like to donate to the channel. Not necessary, but as always appreciated. I'm in here dropping shit. Um, I'm also going to try and get some sort of project going for something. I have no idea what it is. I got a bad blockage right now. So I'm going to get out of here and, well, pretty much awake for the most part. So I'm going to go find something to do right now. Um, Not sure what I'm going to be doing later on today, but I'm sure I'll acquire something. I don't know. Maybe not. It's like the announcement for those that are in my Discord. I have stepped away. This was just simply not meant to be one of those streams, but it's meant to be something. This was more of a personal thing for me, and I'm an open person when it comes to the fact I got all these viewers and all these subs who don't even know who I am. Well, now you guys have the opportunity to learn. So be safe, guys. Stay strong. We're in the middle of not just a global pandemic, but a natural disaster out there. Just be safe. Stay close to those you care about. Hold your kids tight. Hold your wives tight. Your husbands, everything. Um, we're not guaranteed a tomorrow. So treat every day like a goddamn gift. And we'll see you guys in the next one. And just keep that revelation charging. With that, I give a fair adieu.